Hey, family, friends, family, all friends. Uh, just wanted to post a video mainly because I sometimes post words and sometimes I don't post and all this jazz. That's my own personal um, um, teachings for myself. But I'd just like to share a little story. I'm just reading a book called The Power of Myth by Joseph Campbell. Beautiful book. And it's just on, again, mythology and religions and stories and kind of how they're all interconnected and how they're all kind of speaking the same story, speaking the same thing. So here he's just talking about kind of unification with God, unification with this mystical experience. Again, God, I know, is a big word, but it need it not be a person or anything, but maybe a state of being where you feel unified with life in all aspects. So he's talking. This is a book it's a dialogue between two people, and he's just saying here that how can the majority of people that live a normal life, how can they understand these mystical experiences? How can they kind of tap into this? And he's just saying here, is to try and listen, to open up to someone who's had an experience beyond that of food, shelter, progeny, and wealth. And that just means, sometimes people have responsibilities, and even though you may have a responsibility, maybe kids, maybe a job, maybe you have to take care of somebody, but you do know deep down inside that there's this yearning. And so, you maybe not have the full opportunity right now to sit and do the things that some people are doing to, find this place, to understand a bit more of this, but to listen to them, to be open to them, and to maybe sit in or listen to them, can provide you with this assurance in your heart as to this human experience and its eternalness. So he's talking about a book. He says, "Have you ever read Sinclair's Lewis Babbitt?" And then he just said, "Remember that last line? I have never done the thing that I wanted to do in all my life." He said, "This is a man who never followed his bliss." Well, I actually heard that line when I was teaching at Sarah Lawrence. Before I was married, I used to eat out in the restaurants of towns for my lunch and dinners. And on Thursday nights, the maid's night off in Bronxville, so that many of the families were out in the restaurants. And on one fine evening, in my favorite restaurant, at the table next to me was a father, a mother, and a scrawny boy, about 12 years old. And the father said to the boy, "Drink your tomato juice." The boy said, "I don't want to." And the father, with a louder voice, said, "Drink your tomato juice." And the mother said, "Don't make him do what he doesn't want to do." The father looked at her and said, "If he can't go through life doing what he wants to do, if he only does what he wants to do, he'll be dead. Look at me. I've never done a thing I've wanted to do in all my life." And I thought, my God, there's Babbitt incarnate. Carnate, which again, I'm assuming he's read that book and he kind of just saw that exact sample of, this. So that's the man who never followed his bliss. You may have a success in life, but then just think of it. What kind of life was it? What good was it? You've never done that thing you wanted to do in all your life. I always tell my students, go where your body and soul want to go. When you have that feeling, then stay with it and don't let anyone throw you off. And then there's some more stuff, of course. You can always continue reading, but I thought that was beautiful. Something that we can always kind of come back to. Just maybe take a second and say to yourselves, are we following our bliss, and are we following that urge, that inner urge within us to explore something that's it's almost hard. It's still blurry, but it feels right at the same time, even though there's maybe a ton of suffering going on. Everyone's got their own unique experience of this. I have my own, for sure. Some people can label it. I'm often caught up in my own labeling as well, unfortunately. But I do know that there's a passion within me. This, I don't know, days it keeps me going, and I don't know why it does, but it does. To deny it would to deny my existence, because I can't just blow it off. If I blow it off, I feel like I'm just not being authentically me, and if I'm not being authentically me, I'm just becoming a robot in a society where it just doesn't fit for me. And everyone's different. Everyone's different. This is what I'm learning. This is what I'm trying to embrace. It's, just follow your heart, man. Just follow your bliss, as Joseph Campbell says. Many others say this. What does that mean to you? What does bliss mean to you? What are others saying? What kind of experiences are others having? You're a human too. Sometimes we can't make sense of all these things. That's why we look to hear about other people's experiences, not to attach to them, but to understand maybe a little bit of what we're going through that we don't understand. Trying to be open enough to hear that and to understand that. I know it's something I struggle with as well, being that when you're so self-focused on your experience, you sometimes lose the openness. Even though you want to hear and listen, you're still so stuck in yourself, which I often have been. Anyways, yeah. Much love to you all, and follow your bliss, baby.